Hey, yo, welcome back. There's not a podcast. It's just my thoughts with Rob Markman. Shout out to everybody who watches, who likes, who subscribes, who comments, particularly those who subscribe, man. We had a big subscriber spike this week. So I appreciate y'all, the newcomers. And I'm going to encourage y'all, like, if y'all like this channel, if you watch 3 or 4 videos and you decide that you like it here, please subscribe. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Helps the channel out. You get the notification on when I got something new. Just helps us be more connected. So I would really appreciate it, man. Definitely subscribe. All right. Happy Father's Day. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there, all the dads out there. All right. All the stepdads, all the foster dads, all the dads who have adopted children, the dads who are taking care of children who aren't biologically their kids. The dads who are in heavens. Just raising these kids, man, in these kids' life, teaching these kids, helping these kids, make their way, find their way. Shout out to anyone who lost a dad as well. I know today could be tough. I'm incredibly proud of my 2 sons. They're both doing amazing, man, and I couldn't be more proud of them. Proud of my dad, too. He and I went out yesterday to the No Kings protest in New York City. Anybody who knows me, who grew up with me and knows my dad is politically minded, like super politically minded, a real activist. Used to take us to all types of protests and marches and demonstrations while we were kids. And he's very concerned about, the state of the world as I am. And, yesterday just to spend time, today I wanted it to be quiet. I was just kind of spending time in the crib with my son and my family and my wife and all that. But yesterday I was with my dad. We said, man, we're going to go hit this protest together. So shout out to everybody who was out there in the street and in all the cities. And I hope everybody made it home safe. And definitely y'all made y'all voices heard. So amazing thing. But brings me to today's topic. I don't want to get too off topic, but I want to get to today's topic is an artist by the name of Jon Bellion. If you haven't heard of him, he's tremendously popular, but also a lot of people don't know. He might be the most known unknown. He dropped his new album, Father Figure, a couple of weeks ago, I think on June 9th, I believe. And, on the day like today, on Father's Day, it's really, I really wanted to reflect on it. I've been meaning to make this video for a while, and I just got caught up and busy. So I figured Father's Day was the perfect day. So for those unfamiliar, Jon Bellion, he's an artist, he's a producer, he's a songwriter. He's a pop artist, I guess is the box that you put him in when you look him up on Apple Music or Spotify. He's in the pop category. But really so much more, like a real musician, kind of just rooted, like just genreless, you know what I'm saying? And so much of his creativity, actually what helped me discover him is rooted in hip hop. Throughout his discography, you could hear Dilla's influence. You could hear early Kanye influence. And then he just pushes the boundaries past of what we think pop music is. I think that was like my entry into him. Like it was pop music, but it sounded so hip hop. And then just really got in tune with how brilliant he is. Shout out to my man Sermon's Domain, who actually put me on the Jon Bellion years ago when I went to Seattle to go see the Yeezus concert. Actually, my man Sermon came to the hotel. He was like, "Yo, I want to play you this artist." It was Jon Bellion, and I've been a fan ever since. He's a hell of a writer. He has credits on Eminem and Rihanna's "The Monster." You remember that song? He's done records with Camila Cabello, Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, Selena Gomez, Jonas Brothers. He's worked with Jon Batiste, and he did most of Justin Bieber's Justice album, including the single "Holy." Like Jon is tremendously versatile. But at the same time, on his album Glory Sound Prep, he has a song with Rock Marciano. Like, just to give you, like I don't know if there's anybody else in music who's worked with Katy Perry, Miley Cyrus, Jon Batiste, Justin Bieber, and Rock Marciano. You know what I'm saying? Just to kind of paint the picture of how he maybe thinks about music and how wide the scope is that he has musically. His story is this, right? Basically, after releasing his albums, he had The Human Condition, which is an amazing album, and Glory Sound Prep on Capitol and UMG. He wanted to restructure his contract to something more fair. He realized that his contract wasn't what he felt it should be. And they wouldn't. He didn't have any leverage. They wouldn't restructure his contract. So he went on, he played them a whole bunch of songs for what was going to be his third album. They loved the records. They wanted to release the records. And he turned around and said, no, I'm not going to release these records, and started giving them to other artists. Gave a chunk of them to Bieber, because figuring that Capital, the records were monetarily worth more if he presented them as a songwriter or producer. He can actually reap a bigger monetary benefit if he would have put it out as an artist. You know, his label took such a big percentage, but if he put him out as a single songwriter with another artist, he would actually benefit more. So that's what he did for several years. So he kind of went on a strike as an artist, and he just produced, and he made hits for everyone else until they finally restructured his deal. And it's a dope business story for anyone who's an aspiring artist. It's a dope business story if you want to work in the business. So anyway, after a 7-year hiatus, he dropped Father Figure. His new album, Father Figure. The whole album is centered around him being a dad, family life, actually like changing his mentality, his goals from like, a guy that good stays in the studio all day and night. But, now you have other priorities, right? Not only do you have the dreams that you want to chase in your career, got to balance time as a dad and a husband. So the album is an ode, at least to me, how I receive it, is an ode to being a man, an ode to masculinity, but not in a toxic way, right? And that's what the conversation has been for so many years, the toxicity of men. And let's be real, men be on some bullshit. That conversation deserves to be had. But this is almost like a soundtrack for the guys who are really out here doing it right, or striving to do it right, striving to get it right, and the struggle and the balance. And I think it's dope. The album starts off with Horoscope, actually featuring Pharrell. Pharrell has a verse on here, and it's just a dramatic intro. It starts with like this bare piano, these eerie synths rushing, but it's really like the urgency of family. The song is called Horoscope, but maybe some of y'all can relate. Some of the guys that as a man, right? No matter what you're doing, when your family needs you, you drop everything. The context of the song, I believe, is for his wife. I'm also telling his wife, hey, I'll drop everything. But to me, as it relates to me, when I hear it, it reminds me of not just only my lady, but my family, the family that you built. That's how I receive it. Man, hey, man, I'm going to drop everything. Like, you ever been in those moments, like maybe you're at work and you get the call that your lady needs you, or your kid got sick in school, and it's like, well, fuck work, I'll be right there. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to drop everything. That's Horoscope. Pharrell has a verse on there. He raps on there. John raps too. 10 out of 10 intro. The title track, Father Figure, hard hip hop drums on it off the bat. And John has this style where he sort of sings in rounds, or he samples singers around him and then he layers it almost in rounds. Like, you remember when you used to sing like in school? I don't know the real technical term of it, but you sing in rounds, right? And so he arranges it like this. It's kind of a signature of his. So Father Figure got a little bit of that. Feels like a dedication to his own dad, like a promise that he'll dedicate himself to his kids like his father did to him, because so much of this and what we go through as fathers and men are generational. And it works both ways. Sometimes, like me, I had a strong father figure in my life, so I could relate, like, damn, if I could be half the father my father was, I'm doing all right. There's some I have friends and family members who didn't grow up with a father. And it's the opposite. It's like, damn, I didn't have that father figure in my life. And for my kids, I'm going to be the father figure that I never had. You know what I'm saying? But the title track, Father Figure, is just an ode to just dedicating yourself. You know what I'm saying? Or at least that's how I receive it. Why features Luke Combs. That's more of an Americana folksy song. And look, I know most of what I do on this channel is hip hop, so this is a little out the box, but I really do marvel at Jon as an artist. But Why with Luke Combs just shows kind of the versatility that he has. And that song was funny because he wrote this song for himself. Remember I said he went on like a strike where he was writing for everybody else. And after years of that, this was the first song that he wrote for himself, right? But still, he's in that business mindset. Well, let me give it to other artists. And he says that every artist that he tried to give it to turned it down and said they couldn't sing the record because the record felt too personal to him, that his spirit was in the record. So that he ended up with the record. It's these things that if you make music, like records end up where they're supposed to. Like you always hear writers and producers and songwriters, just say that records end up where they're supposed to. This is one of those records. Wash is one of the tracks that was released before the album. It's just an example of like what I said, where he stretches the boundary of what pop is. Italian Breeze is a rap song. It's like this slow rolling rap song, and it's just him celebrating being Italian. John is of Italian descent from Long Island, so a lot of there's a stereotype about like Long Island Italians, and he really kind of leans into it and owns it. He actually played this song for me when he was making the album. I was at his crib and he asked my opinion on what to do, which is crazy because I'm just like, well, I mean, this dude is working with Pharrell at the time in the studio with Pharrell. I mean, he just knows so much about music, and he was like, well, I'm kind of stuck on this record. What should I do? And he asked me for my opinion because there were people around him suggesting that he change the record. And I liked it. I told him just to keep it as it is. I really fuck with it. And I was happy to see that he ended up keeping it as it is. But Italian Breeze is one of those records where he's just celebrating who he is and being Italian. I thought that was cool. You know what I'm saying? Get It Right with Teddy Swims. Tori Kelly is on it. Dope song. Kind of sounds like Get It Right kind of sounds like classic Kanye, like Graduation era. So, if you're unfamiliar and you're really into hip hop and you like I might start with like a Get It Right. Might be a good entry point for you. Kid Again is actually my favorite song off of the album. This is exactly where I am in my life right now, right? Kid Again is just about as we grow as men, or even as women, as we grow as adults, like not to let go of those dreams that we had as kids. So often we grow and we let go of all of that shit because we think we know what it means to be an adult. Kid Again is the reason I still put out records. You know what I'm saying? Like I've always wanted to rap since I was a kid, so I'm at a point I could put out records. Like I'm satisfying those early childhood dreams. It's the reason why I still collect and write comic books, is because that's what I was into when I was a kid. Like I didn't let that go. It's the reason why I'm so still engulfed in hip hop, when a lot of my friends that I grew up with, and maybe some of y'all could relate, don't pay attention to hip hop as closely as they used to. And here I am talking with y'all every day about it, right? So Kid Again, I love Kid Again. That's exactly where I am in my life. And of course, I'm a man. I have family. I have kids to raise. So, you know what I'm saying? It's being there for my kids. It's paying these bills. It's making sure you put food on the table. So I do all of that, but I find time for it all. But Kid Again is my favorite song off of here. Modern Times is another record on the album. He worked with Jon Batiste on this one. It's just about where we are in the world, the direction that we're going in the world, in America. I told you earlier that I went to a protest yesterday with my dad. Modern Times is kind of that, like, yo, the world is burning. Like, we didn't start the fire type. What was that? Billy Joel, we didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning. So it's just like this concept of the world is fucked up, and we don't know where we're headed. You see, every time you see the news, whether it be Trump with ICE, Israel and Palestine, and now Israel and Iran, and what's gonna happen? Like are we on the brink of World War III? The rise of AI. People are scared. Like, yo, are kids? Will the next generation have jobs? Like, what are we headed towards? And there's always, I think every generation is uncertain about the future. So there's always kind of that. And I bet you in every generation, you can find songs that point to that. But Modern Times is like John's take on that and his fear of where the world is going. And then what will be left for his kids. So super dope joint. Rich and Broke is like a redefinition of what it means to be wealthy. How we've accumulated all these things, and then there's these moments when you figure out like it doesn't matter. Like a lyric on Rich and Broke is he says, I felt the earthquake in New York. Those of us who live in New York, I'm in Jersey now, but those of us who live in that area, there was an earthquake last year, and we don't get earthquakes out here, so it was really scary. I remember I was sitting here at this very desk, and my kids were still sleeping, and it was an earthquake, and I couldn't believe it. But the first place I ran to was to my son's room. So John says, to check on him. So John says, I felt the earthquake in New York. I was in my goose down bed. I was in my big, big house with the whip outside on 10. I thought a bomb had dropped outside, had a big chain around my neck that I worked for my whole life, but the first thought was my kids. So Rich and Broke is really like, damn, we've been on bullshit all this time. Like, we've been chasing all this material shit and what we thought what it means to be wealthy, and the real wealth is within your family. So Rich and Broke is dope. Don't Shoot, like a classic rock joint. And then My Boy is like the ending, the dedication to his kids. Powerful lyrics on there too. It just starts off, the song's called My Boy, and he's like, yo, stay young, stay small, my boy. Fit inside these arms forever, because the world's not all it's cracked up to be. You know, it's just a different album. If you're looking for something different, I figured on Father's Day it'd be dope to talk about it. But just a different album. If you're looking for something different, I'd recommend it. Go check it out. Definitely go check it out. Especially if you're open up to hearing different types of music. Jon Bellion, father figure, I will recommend. For real, powerful album, dope message. All right, but that's it. Just wanted to hop on here today. I'm gonna be back later. It's funny, man. I'm working. My wife and my son are at church. And I'm working, and I want to do this video to give to y'all. I'm gonna do a Diddy recap. It might be shorter than the usual ones, and then, you know, hopefully it stops raining, man. I might get out there, grill something, man, have a couple beers or something like that. But, you know, just regular shit, watch the Yankee game. But I hope y'all are having a blessed day, man. Happy Father's Day to everybody out there. All right, peace.